if you're over 21 and you do indulge in the consumption of alcohol, then you've probably had a hangover before. A hangover is the consequence of chemistry. Chemistry is the study of matter. Matter is anything that is in liquid, solid, or gaseous state, and chemistry tries to understand the properties, structure, and composition of matter. So what I mean by this is that matter is made up of very small units that are called atoms. Everything that you see or do not even see is made up of atoms. And the interaction of atoms is maintained by energy. And this energy we call them bonds, and there are different types of bonds that are out there. An example to help you understand what I mean is water. Water is made up of 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. These 3 atoms are held together with bonds, covalent bonds. We call them covalent bonds to form a water molecule. Multiple water molecules are held together with another type of bond, which are hydrogen bonds. These hydrogen bonds are quite dynamic. So the dynamic state of hydrogen bonds is maintained by the energy. And if we remove or add energy into those bonds, then there is a consequence on the entire form of matter, which is in this case water. An example of this is when we remove energy. For example, when we're freezing water, that what we're essentially doing is removing the energy. When we freeze water, we're basically removing the energy that is from the hydrogen bonds and reducing the dynamic state of those bonds. Everything now becomes static and brings all those hydrogen bonds become shorter, bringing all the molecules together, and eventually we've changed the state of water from liquid to solid. That's how you get the ice, the block of ice. Ice is essentially water that you've removed energy from. However, if you flip it and now add energy into the system, so you have a block of ice, all the hydrogen bonds are vibrating in place because you've removed the energy. They can't move. It's no longer dynamic. If you add the energy, you're slowly increasing the vibrations, you're increasing the dynamic state of those hydrogen bonds, and eventually we will get back to that flowy and dynamic nature of hydrogen bonds for water. The consequence of this, when you're looking at it from bird's eye view, is that you've melted solid into a liquid. And if you continue adding energy, actually, you will now evaporate the water, which is technically changing the liquid state into a gas state, because the more the dynamic nature of the hydrogen bonds eventually release the water molecules into steam or gas, a gaseous state of water. This is chemistry in our everyday lives. Another example is if you're over 21 and you do indulge in the consumption of alcohol, then you've probably had a hangover before. A hangover is the consequence of chemistry. When you drink alcohol, our bodies have an enzyme called acetaldehyde dehydrogenase that actually converts the ethanol that is in alcohol into acetaldehyde. And acetaldehyde then starts reacting with the other metabolic products that we produce in our everyday lives, like the food and all the other things that, all the other compounds that are flowing in our bloodstream. And this has different effects depending on genetics, honestly. Like there's some people who have variable amounts of acetyl dehydrogenase. So, and that has different consequences on the level of a hangover. That's why some people will experience the dizziness and nausea and feeling like you don't want to get out of bed, whereas someone else will be almost fine. Probably they'll just have a headache and that's it. Another compound in alcohol is methanol, and thank God that it's usually in very small amounts in alcohol, because methanol is actually toxic. And if you've ever heard of somebody drinking methanol, then you know that you're probably not with us, because it's very toxic. And if you do not die from consuming methanol, like in very high amounts, then you will have some visual impairments, you go blind, and so many other consequences to your body. Methanol is actually present in most spirits, and once the ethanol in the alcohol has been converted to acetaldehyde, the enzyme that I was talking about, acetaldehyde dehydrogenase, now starts working on the methanol, which forms another compound that is called formaldehyde, which again, very toxic in our bodies. This is actually the this is the compound that is used in embalming in cemeteries. So it's very toxic. And even if you've had poisoning, for example, you can probably smell it. I don't know if you're a CSI fan like myself, but you know, one of the tests that you can tell for poisoning is actually formaldehyde. It's smelling the breath, or at least the nose area of a dead person. If you like this video, let me know by giving it a thumbs up. And if you're considering chemistry as a college major or a prospective career path, then stick around because I have some valuable information for you. Still with me? Perfect. So chemistry, as you can already guess, you will do a lot of chemistry classes when you go to college or if you decide to take this major. Or you'll have classes from organic chemistry, inorganic chemistry, thermodynamics, physical chemistry, and calculus, maybe a biology course, physics definitely. And the thing with chemistry classes, most of them are associated with a lab. So an organic chemistry class will be associated with an organic chemistry lab. Physical chemistry class, physical chemistry lab. So there are a lot of labs that you will take as a chemistry major, and all of these classes and labs, they're actually preparing you for working in the industry as a chemist, either an analytical chemist, quality control chemist working for some of the big biotech companies like, I don't know, Thermo Fisher, for example, working as a physical chemist, or even going into chemical engineering, forensic scientist. As I said, you can go into your crime scene investigation, or you can go into pharmacology where you're doing a lot of drug development. Alternatively, you can use a chemistry major to get into grad school. That could be med school, vet school, grad school itself, to go into like becoming a research scientist or a professor, or even teaching, where you teach high school chemistry or AP chemistry. As always, if you like this video, let me know by giving it a thumbs up, and comment in the comment section what other career or college major do you want featured in the next video. Also, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that you can get notified every time that I post. This has been day 8 of my 90-day challenge, and I'm so excited to come back here again to talk about biomedical lab sciences. So catch you all tomorrow.
And I've been chilling, watching the ocean with you, baby, up with a slow motion crew, and we